I don't just talk about other people's stuff, I also make my own. Books in particular. To date, I have 4 books you can check out on Amazon. Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and the short story collection Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Hop on down to the description for Amazon links to all 4 books. Enjoy whichever ones you read, and enjoy the video. Well, as has become somewhat tradition over the past couple of years, Toho has released a little something special in honor of Godzilla Day. This time, a short film, roughly just over 5 minutes long, and that serves as a remake of Godzilla vs. HEDORAH. This particular short was made in the tradition of the classic Godzilla movies, predominantly using practical effects, practical sets, practical suits, limited animations for stuff like heat rays and electricity and whatnot, and interestingly enough, using the Final Wars costumes, probably because they were still available and still in relatively good condition. So I guess we now know what HEDORAH would have done in that movie had he been allowed a bit more screen time and to, actually have a scene unto himself. Of course, this fight lasts longer than 50 seconds, so there's no way it would have made the final cut of Final Wars anyway. So it was very fun to see, and I also noticed it appears to have been shot outside. That's something that they probably picked up from the Heisei Gamera movies, using natural lighting to help enhance the realistic feel of these creatures. And I especially like seeing the old methods applied again. Like I've said in the past, I'm no special effects snob. I don't completely shun things that use CGI, obviously. But of course, practical effects have always been part of what gives the kaiju genre its identity. And after Shin Godzilla decided to go with digital effects, a lot of people were thinking, well, I guess it's the end of the era. Moving forward, we're probably not going to see suitmation used in any future Godzilla movies. Yet, here we are. Admittedly, this is a short film, but they decided to dust off those suits and use them again, and they used them very well. This was a very fine-looking short. I don't think anyone can argue that. But one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this short specifically is because of what it does. There's been a debate going on recently in the Godzilla fandom, one of several actually, but this seems to be a particular point of contention where people are firmly entrenched in one camp or the other, about whether or not you can make a Godzilla movie without humans in it. On the one hand, you have people saying that humans are completely necessary for kaiju movies. They provide the human perspective, they help show you the scale of these gigantic creatures, they help clarify plot points or themes and whatnot. And on the other side, you have people like me who say that you can potentially tell a kaiju story without people. Some say it's because the human characters are unnecessary and nobody cares about them anyway. I tend to be more of the opinion that you can tell a kaiju story without human characters because the kaiju themselves are characters. And if they are strong enough characters, they should be able to carry the story by themselves. And we've seen that done, technically. Comics, video games, online projects made by fans, and now this. And of course, the reason the topic has been coming up and being debated is because it's one of the ideas being batted around for a potential next entry in the MonsterVerse. But now we look at this short, Toho produced, and there are no humans in it. Like, there's a brief shot of people's feet as they're running by at the very beginning, but after that, it's all Godzilla and HEDORAH carrying this thing. And arguably, we didn't need humans in it to understand this. We can tell everything about these monsters just by watching this. It's very clear what's going on. The plot, I realize, is simple. HEDORAH shows up at a power plant to feed off the fumes. Godzilla shows up to fight him. They have a fight. Triangle wins. Triangle Man. Wait, no, that's different. Anyway, the point is, the plot isn't necessarily that complicated. It didn't really need to be for something this short. But we can also clearly discern what the monsters' personalities are like just through the visuals and the cinematography. HEDORAH has a tendency to sort of leap around and flail about like he's some sort of harlequin jester, almost kind of in a demented way. And that speaks to the idea that this HEDORAH isn't just there to be destructive, he's actually twisted. His mind is melted in a way that makes him enjoy this sort of thing. And that is very disturbing. The idea that you have something that big who enjoys inflicting pain on others. And as for Godzilla, he is clearly the authority figure. He shows up to lay down the law. You shall not pass. HEDORAH's going down if he tries anything. And HEDORAH does go down by the end. Get your mind out of the gutter. Even just in the beginning, before the fight actually happens, the two have this sort of Wild West standoff, where they're at a distance, staring each other down, waiting to see who makes the first move. You can sort of tell that Godzilla is anticipating what HEDORAH's going to do and thinking, alright, what's he going to do? How am I going to react to it? If he goes left, what do I do? If he goes right, do I counter him with my tail? Things like that. And HEDORAH, of course, he's thinking, well, I could run, but this is going to be fun. That's how I interpret it, at least. It seemed pretty clear to me that's what's going on. And again, I realize it's a short, and the argument could be made that because it's a short, it can get away with being all kaiju action, but if it were to be any longer, you would have to add humans. Well, that can't really be proven at this point. We only really have examples of kaiju movies with humans in them. Like I said, there are other examples with things like comics or video games or what have you, but those are not necessarily limited by time. A comic book you can read at any particular pace you want. You can speed through it, or you can take your time on each individual panel. A video game is interactive, so your mind is engaged whether there are humans on the screen or not. But a movie is a little bit different, I realize. But still, compare this to something like Godzilla and Mothra: The Battle for Earth. I recently did a very in-depth video about how the humans in that movie don't really contribute anything of value to the plot. There's a lot of fat that needs to be trimmed from that movie, and the vast majority of it is scenes with human characters who don't do anything and yet still take full responsibility for everything at the end for some reason. They just had to drive the message home somehow because the jackhammer wasn't subtle enough. But the thing is, you can argue that the short film right here is a far better told story than Godzilla and Mothra: The Battle for Earth. Because, well, it gets to the point, it doesn't have any extra baggage, and you can clearly tell what's going on without the need for humans to pop in every once in a while and explain to you what's going on. Honestly, between this and behind-the-scenes discussions for the Monsterverse, it's looking more and more like a kaiju movie centered entirely around the kaiju with little to no human presence is more of an inevitability than a question of should it be done or will it be done. It seems like things are heading in that direction, because we keep getting stuff like this. We keep having the discussion pop up. So, I for one am looking forward to at least seeing what could be done. I've heard a lot of people say that they defend Shin Godzilla and the Polygon Trilogy and Singular Point purely on the grounds that it's different. Different from what in a series that's had as much variety as the Godzilla series? I have yet to hear quantified, but they keep saying it's different and therefore that makes it better, as if difference is somehow a mark of quality, which it's not. But if you're going to live and die by that argument, then a kaiju movie without people in it is about as different as you can get. So, if that's your argument, you have to support the idea. Or perhaps you need to accept that there's a little more nuance to the situation than just different good, not different bad. Either way, though, this still happened, and I really enjoyed it. I really think this was a good one. What can be done from there? I don't know. I don't know if this is somehow indicative of what Toho has planned for their eventual world of Godzilla, or if it was just something they did purely for Godzilla Day, and they're going to go in a completely different direction. This was just for nostalgia, and it's had its time, now they're going to move on. I don't know. I just know that I pretty much enjoyed this thing. It had nice instances of homage to the original Godzilla vs. HEDORAH, made far better use of the monsters than Godzilla Final Wars did, and at 5 minutes long with credits, it delivered pretty much everything. So, yeah, that's where I stand on it. I think I'll go watch it again, in fact. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.
Congratulations, you reached the end. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to consider supporting us on Patreon. Of course, the other way to support us is to go to Amazon and check out our books, Operation Red Dragon, The Kaiju Wars Part 1, The Occult Mafia, Emerald of Maddox City, and Assorted Absurdities, Tales of Kaiju Punk and Other Genres. Also check the description for links to DeviantArt and other platforms we operate. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.